Yeah, Joe, two quick things. Last week, we were talking to Coach Snow, and he said he'd spent a lot of time evaluating Justin Herbert's tape. So I'm just interested what kind of input you had in the draft process when it came to Derek Brown and Isaiah Simmons, who you both played. And I'll save the second thing for after your answer.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important in the draft process. If I was fortunate and unfortunate to go against some of those guys last year. So coach obviously reached out. Derek Brown, I think I said it after the draft. Gave us a lot of fits, and it was a large. I don't want to say my input had anything to do with us drafting him, but I definitely was a huge believer in him, and obviously Isaiah, in the same regard, and that's why he was a top 10 draft pick. And so both of those guys are dynamic, and there's a reason they were drafted where they were.
And obviously, the offense doesn't itself change when you lose a guy, but I'm just interested in terms of actual play calling. Could you give me an example of how your play calling might be different without Christian in the lineup?
Look, I see it. I like to think that we built our offense around the strengths of our guys, and so like I said it last week, and I don't think our offense changes much. You have Mike Davis, and there's nothing I don't think Mike Davis can't do, and so no, from a play calling standpoint, I don't believe it does.
All right, let's go to Miles Simmons and then Mike Solarte.
Hey, Joe. So one thing that stands out about the Cardinals is just how good they've been on third down. But what do you think has led to their success in that area?
Well, I think a big thing is obviously getting people behind the chains and first and second down, and getting it's never good to get in third and longs. That's something as an offense we always want to stay out of. But they're doing a great job. Even when even in the third and medium range, they do a lot on defense. They're able to affect the pass rusher. When you have a defensive end, outside linebacker that leads the league in sacks, you're able to impact the quarterback. And I think they have very good corners that can shut down on the outsides, and so it allows you to kind of really dial up anything you want in the defense.
Hey, Joe, kind of following up on that point, third down conversions were a bit of an issue last week against the Chargers in the red zone. You guys come away 6 trips and 5 field goals. Are those two kind of married together based in that one game? Because it seemed like the third down conversions didn't happen, had to kick. Do you clean the third down conversion opportunities up? Do you clean the red zone conversions opportunities up? I mean, where does it, in your mind, are those kind of married together? Where does it?
Well, you look at last game, a lot of them did marry together, but I think they are two separate entities. I think most of our third downs last week that we did get stopped having to kick a field goal were in the red zone. And so we just got to continue to put those drives together. To punch touchdowns in the red zone, because that's what's going to win football games. And so I do see it as two completely separate. It just so happened last week, especially when you get down there and the field shrinks, we got to be able to still be able to move the chains.
Go to Jonathan Alexander and then David Newton.
Hey, Joe. Hope you're doing well. I'm curious. My question was about to be the red zone question, but anyway.
What you got?
Well, I was wondering what the issues were with where you saw the issues were with the red zone last week in particular, and then also I want to ask, do you see at all a disconnect with Teddy and DJ Moore? I mean, I know they had a good week in week 2, but week 1 and week 3 you saw some incompletes. 50% in catch percentage there.
Yeah, no, I don't think there's a disconnect with Teddy and DJ by any means. I think there's a good chemistry with them, and from a scheme standpoint, you look at this last game, and I think it's critical going into each game and just finding out, how can we take control of the game and what do we have to do to win the game. And I think every game is going to be different. And I think you play a defense like we played this past week. I think they do a great job at being disciplined, being sound. Taking the deep away. They're very great at limiting explosives. You have to be patient, you have to be disciplined and take what the defense gets them, and I thought we did a great job of that. And, we just have to do a better job at finishing those drives, to kind of, those 4-point plays, kicking field goals instead of touchdowns, and it comes back to get you at the end. But I don't see there as a disconnect between Teddy and Robbie, Teddy and DJ. But I think Teddy's kind of said it, any given game, these guys all have to be ready. And like you see, week 1 and week 2, it was, Robbie had 100 yards. You had DJ with, week 2. And so I think, these guys have the mindset that, hey, it's it could be my week. And I think that's the most important thing.
Hey, Joe, David Newton here. Wanted to ask you, I know you pay attention to the other team's defense, but your own team's defense, how have you seen it advance or grow over the last month and a half here? And what's been your impressions of Phil Snow in the short time you've known him?
I love Phil Snow. I love Phil Snow's energy. I'm constantly asking him questions. I think he's, he has a wealth of knowledge. And it's interesting when you sit in the box. You see the football game obviously from a different standpoint, but the way that we took the field and flew around on Sunday, it was fun to watch. I felt we were able to create pressure, and without even talking schemes, just seeing how fast our guys were flying around there. That was something that popped off, to me. And so I think that's a credit to the coaches and the players kind of just buying in and taking control of that football game. And, we appreciated them for that.
All right, guys, we only have time for 3 more. So let's go to Jason Huber and then Skylar and finish with Joe Person.
Hey, Joe, hope you're doing well. I'm kind of wondering just in general, especially with Arizona probably going to be without Buda Baker this Sunday, just in general, your thoughts kind of on that defense and some of these guys that you think, could step up that you guys have to keep an eye on, and just kind of that secondary and how you think they'll kind of operate now.
Yeah, well, look, I think Vance is, everywhere Vance has been as a defense, he's had success. And so he's going to find ways regardless of injuries. He's going to put his players in position to have success. And so, I think he's a great defensive coordinator, and, you see how they are at situational football. And like, you have to kind of go off the tape and see exactly what you're getting. You can't chase ghosts. And, if they change what they're doing, we're going to have to make adjustments. And that's just kind of game of football. But, we're preparing for what we've seen, and we'll kind of just go from there.
Hey, Joe, we saw Curtis in the backfield a little bit more last week. Is that something that we'll kind of see more throughout the season, or more as Christian sits out, or is it just going to depend on what the defense shows each week? And also, what did you think about what he did in the backfield?
I think it's a week-to-week thing, just kind of seeing what the defense gives, seeing how if there's matchups that we can take advantage of them, if there's certain runs that that he might like, and depending on the pass game and the run game. So I think that's a week-to-week thing with Curtis. But like I said, when the ball in his hand, good things happen. And so, I think some of the runs we have to execute a little better. And but I was pleased with when the ball is in his hand, he had a couple tough runs.
Hey, back on the red zone, we saw a couple times where Teddy was either checking down or just throwing to guys short of the goal line. And understanding that you obviously want him to protect the ball too, but were there a couple of those you would have liked to see him take a shot into the end zone?
We look at the first drive, and you see Teddy. He ended up taking the flat. We threw it down to Mike Davis, and I thought the defense did a good job at being being disciplined and not taking that. A linebacker did a great job of staying on the goal line and forcing that. And in the red zone, I think at the end of the half, I think that was a smart play by Teddy, understanding that, hey, Dante just made a great play. There's not a lot of time left on the clock. I can sit there and force it, but the last thing we want is it's not being aggressive. It's about sometimes being smart. And so, sometimes I believe taking a smart throw is, as long as the throw is not there, I think is critical. In that position, we wanted to go into the halftime with points. Our defense did a great job getting us back down there. And so I believe that was the right decision.